Our store is small, but reasonably busy for a quiet town, surrounded by family homes. I know every shelf like the back of my hand. The milk aisle on the left, the pet food at the far end, and the cleaning supplies shelf that always feels cold, even when the AC is off. I work the evening shift, the one I've always liked. There's something calming about the amber light of sunset streaming through the storefront windows, making the bottles of drinks sparkle like gold. Usually, 7 o'clock in the evening is the quietest time. The last customers grab 1 or 2 small items before heading home. That day, as usual, the atmosphere felt peaceful. My supervisor, Mrs. Collins, had left 2 hours ago. It was just me and the cash register, which occasionally made a soft humming sound from the cooler, somehow a sound that always comforted me. Soft music played through the store speakers, making the room feel warm even as the autumn fog began to roll in outside. I was arranging some boxes of granola bars that had arrived late this afternoon. My knees were a little sore, but it didn't matter. I enjoyed the calm. Often, I deliberately took night shifts because it was my favorite time. No long lines, no customer complaints, no chaos. Before 8 o'clock, one of our regular customers, Mr. Harrison, came in briefly to buy his favorite instant coffee. He was a friendly man in his 60s, always carrying a hint of cinnamon from his winter coat. "Night shift again, Dylan?" he asked with a smile. "You must know my schedule by now," I replied with a small laugh. He simply nodded, grabbed his items, and after paying, waved slightly. "Be careful closing tonight. The wind's a bit strong." I didn't think much of his words, just a small gesture of care from a loyal customer. As the automatic door closed behind him, I exhaled in satisfaction. Everything was fine. As usual, calm, comfortable. I didn't even know that this would be the last night I would feel everything was normal. A few minutes after Mr. Harrison left, I began my usual store closing routine, lowering the music volume, returning empty baskets, then checking stock on the front shelves. Everything went on as usual, calm, orderly, uneventful, until the sound of the automatic door notification suddenly rang. Ding dong! I instinctively looked toward the glass door, and for a split second, it felt like my heart stopped. Someone had entered. No, not just someone. A customer I knew very well. The man wore a faded denim jacket and a red cap, his steps slightly heavy, as he always used to walk. He held a small shopping bag, as if he'd just come back to buy one more item. The store lights cast thin shadows across his pale face. His name was Mark Hensley, a regular who often came in after work. And the problem was I knew exactly why my whole body went cold. Mark Hensley had been found dead in this store's parking lot less than 24 hours ago. I even watched the ambulance arrive this morning. I stood behind the yellow tape, watching the paramedics cover his body with a white sheet. Everyone in the store had been talking about it all day. And now, he was standing a few feet from me. I couldn't move. My mind raced, refusing to accept what I saw. Maybe it wasn't him. Maybe it was just someone who looked like him. But the jacket, the cap, the way he walked. He slowly looked down and walked past the beverage aisle toward the canned food aisle, the one he usually visited every night. His movements were calm, too calm. "Can I help you?" My voice finally came out, though it sounded more like a trembling whisper. No answer. He just kept walking as if he hadn't heard me. I stood behind the register, gripping the counter to steady myself. It felt like waiting for something I couldn't explain. Even though I was terrified, my work instinct forced me to check on the customer, whoever he was. I mustered the courage to step into the aisle. Each step felt heavy, like the floor suddenly reflected a chilling cold through my feet. When I reached the end of the aisle, I saw him standing with his back to me, right in front of his favorite canned soup shelf. He didn't move, didn't grab anything, just stood there, and before I could call out again, the cash register beeped from afar. Beep, like an item had just been scanned. I instantly looked at the register. No one was there. When I looked back down the aisle, he was gone. The canned soup shelf that had been empty, where he had stood, was still slightly vibrating, as if someone had just touched it. I swallowed hard. feeling a cold sweat run down my back. That night I realized I was not alone, and whatever just entered the store was not an ordinary customer. Since that realization, the entire store atmosphere changed. The lights, once steady, now felt dimmer, as if losing power. Even the air conditioner suddenly stopped, leaving a silence too thick for such a small room. I stood in the middle of the aisle, holding onto a shelf so my legs wouldn't buckle. "Okay, Dylan, stay calm. Maybe you're just tired," I muttered, trying to reassure myself. But the words didn't last long. From the direction of the register, I heard the rustle of plastic, as if someone was placing something on the counter. Slow, rhythmic, definitely not the sound of a machine or the wind. I took a deep breath and forced my feet to move. My goal was clear. I had to make sure whatever it was didn't damage the store. Or at least, I needed to know if someone else had quietly entered. When I reached the register, I froze. On the counter, right under the fluorescent light, was one item: Mark Hensley's favorite canned soup, the kind he bought almost every night. But what made my skin crawl even more? The can was dewy, as if someone had just held it. Though on the shelf earlier, everything had felt room temperature, I took a half step back. "Hello. If anyone's there, please let me know," I called, trying to sound professional even though my voice trembled. No answer, just the soft hum of the beverage cooler. I knew what I should do. Close the store early, lock the doors, and wait in the office until the shift ended. That's standard procedure when strange or dangerous things happen, but something held me back. Not curiosity, but more like a moral push. Mark was a regular, a man who was always kind, someone who even gave me a Christmas card last year, and somehow I felt he was still trying to do something, as if he came not to scare me, but to deliver something left unfinished. I decided on one goal: find where Mark was and what he wanted to do. First step: check the area where he was last seen. I returned to the canned food aisle, trying to ignore the increasingly unnatural chill. But when I arrived, something on the lower shelf caught my eye. A small trail, a trace of water, forming a thin line extending toward another aisle. Not a spill, not a cleaning stain. It looked like drops from something that had just moved. The trail led to the back storage area, the most uncomfortable part of the store. A place that even during the day felt unwelcoming. I stood in front of the storage door, my hand hesitating on the handle. The door was slightly ajar, leaving a narrow gap showing only pitch-black darkness inside. A soft breeze flowed out, carrying a strange scent. Not foul or frightening, but familiar. The scent of the instant coffee Mark often bought. A scent that shouldn't be in the storage room. I swallowed hard, then pushed the door slowly. It opened with a soft scrape. Light from the aisle illuminated a small part inside. And as I stepped in, I saw something that froze me in place. In the middle of the storage floor lay Mark Hensley's red cap, the one he wore when he entered the store earlier. But that wasn't the worst part. On the back wall, faint writing appeared, as if fingers had traced the dusty surface. "Help me!" The writing was neither big nor neat, as if hurriedly done by someone desperate for attention. My chest tightened. This was no coincidence. This wasn't an optical illusion. Whatever happened to Mark yesterday might not be over, and tonight I had accidentally become part of what was left. I stood frozen in the storage room, staring at the words, "Help me," which grew clearer as my eyes adjusted to the dark. My heart pounded so hard it seemed to fill the entire space. A strong urge to run out was there, but an even stronger feeling held me back. The sense that Mark truly needed help, even after whatever had happened to him in the parking lot yesterday. The red cap on the floor was the most tangible proof that this was not my imagination. I knelt slowly, touching the edge of the cap. It was still warm. Warm, as if someone had just worn it. "What actually happened to you, Mark?" I muttered, my voice shaking. Before I could process it, a small sound came from the direction of the storage door. Click, like the sound of the door moving on its own. I turned quickly, The storage room door, which had been open earlier, was now slowly closing, pushed by something unknown. Then, without warning, Brooke, the door slammed shut, separating the storage room from the store aisle. I panicked and ran to the door, pulling the handle with all my strength. Locked. There was no manual lock in the storage room. No, come on. I pulled again, pushed, pressed. Nothing moved. In the darkness, the storage lights flickered faintly, casting shadows from the shelves like lurking figures. The silence grew too heavy, and it made me even more nervous. I just want to help, Mark. If you can hear me, please give me a sign, I said, trying to steady my breathing. But something even stranger happened. In the darkest corner of the storage room, I heard soft footsteps, as if someone were walking barefoot on the concrete floor. The steps grew closer. Closer still. Then stopped right behind a large shelf. The shelf trembled, just slightly, but enough to make my knees weaken. "What is that?" I whispered. I grabbed a small flashlight I usually used to check stock and turned it on. Its yellow beam cut through the darkness, revealing the tall shapes of the shelves. I moved slowly toward the shelf, where the sound had stopped. Each step felt like moving through layers of cold air. When I reached the back of the shelf, I shined the light, and it immediately revealed something. A pair of wet footprints leading toward the back wall, stopping directly in front of the words, "Help me." I shivered so hard my body went rigid. "Mark, what are you trying to tell me?" I said softly. Suddenly, the storage lights went completely out. Dark, silent. As if the entire world had stopped, the flashlight in my hand started flickering, and when it briefly shone a bit stronger, I saw something that nearly made me drop it. On the wall, right below "Help me," new scratches appeared, slowly, as if invisible fingers were writing them at that very moment. I froze, speechless. The scratches continued, letter by letter, shaking yet deliberate. When finished, the new message read, "They are waiting." I stumbled backward, shivering from head to toe. "They? Who are they?" I panicked, speaking into the darkness. No answer. Instead, another sound came. Closer, clearer, soft breathing, right behind me. Too close. I swallowed hard and turned trembling, hoping it wasn't. But my flashlight died. And in that pitch-black darkness, something touched my shoulder. Only one choice remained. I had to get out of that storage room, no matter what. Before I could move, the touch on my shoulder grew slightly firmer, not gripping, not restraining, more like someone carefully trying to get my attention. My body tensed, my breath caught. Slowly I turned, hoping at least my flashlight would come back on. The darkness felt alive, as if something inside it was watching me. I don't want to hurt you," I whispered, even though I wasn't sure who I was speaking to. And then, something unexpected happened. My flashlight turned on by itself. The beam wasn't strong, just a small shaft of light cutting through the dark. But it was enough to show something that made me shiver. The shadow of a person, standing directly in front of me. Not a full form, more like a thin silhouette quivering slightly, as if the light passed through a transparent body. I stepped back, but the shadow didn't advance. Instead, it moved sideways, pointing to something. Toward the small emergency exit door in the corner of the storage room. A door I rarely used. Usually stuck. I swallowed hard. You want me to go out that way?" The shadow stayed still, but my flashlight flickered twice, like an answer. I took slow steps toward the emergency exit. Toftoi. Each step made the shadow blur further, as if my courage was making it vanish, bit by bit. But before I reached the door, I saw something that made me stop abruptly. Next to the emergency exit was an old inventory bulletin board, and on it, a yellowed piece of paper. The paper hadn't been there before. I knew because I had cleaned the area myself earlier that afternoon. With trembling hands, I lifted the paper. A single short sentence was written. Mark didn't go alone. I froze. My mind raced. Didn't go alone? Who else? What really happened yesterday? Before I could analyze further, another sound emerged, this time louder. Talk, 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 from the direction of the store's front door, as if someone were knocking from outside. I tensed. How could anyone be at the front now? It was almost closing time. The walls of the storage room felt colder, as if the room itself were reacting to my fear. The knocking came again, faster, and multiplied. Not one person, not two, like many hands knocking together, softly, rhythmically, demanding entry. I closed my eyes, trying to remain calm. Mark, is that what you meant by they? Suddenly my flashlight flickered again, 3 times. And in that same instant, something I never expected happened. The storage light snapped on in full, as if the store's electricity had been forced awake. The light drove away the shadow, but didn't erase my fear. Because when the storage room lit up, I saw something that almost made me fall. The words had changed. The sentence, "They are waiting," now had an addition beneath it. Uppercase, thicker scratches, as if someone wrote it frantically. "Do not open the door." Goosebumps prickled across my body. The knocking at the front door grew louder, more rhythmic, like a group of people who knew exactly I was inside and were waiting for me to come out. But what nearly made me lose my breath? Voices from outside called my name, softly, in unison, as if all of them used the same tone. "Dylan, Dylan, open! Dylan, we see you." These were not normal human voices, as if the sounds weren't coming from mouths, but from empty space. I froze, my body paralyzed. This wasn't just about Mark. Something far larger was waiting outside. Something Mark wanted me to avoid. And at that moment, I realized he didn't come to scare me. He came to save me. That realization made my entire body jolt, like something was forcing me to move immediately. The knocking at the store door quickened. The voices continued calling my name in a form without shape. The warning, "Do not open the door," that had just appeared on the wall felt like a final line I couldn't break. I hugged my small flashlight tighter. "I have to get to the emergency exit," I whispered to myself. The emergency exit was just a few steps away, but my steps felt heavy because every movement made the air in the storage room shiver lightly, as if unseen eyes were following me from the dark corners. As I approached the door, the storage lights flickered again. Once, twice, 3 times. Suddenly, the air behind me became ice cold. Cold, like standing inside a freezer. I knew what it meant. Mark was still here, watching, guiding me. "I hear you, Mark. I understand," I muttered without turning around. The knocking at the front door changed into a soft scraping, like palms brushing against glass. The sound spread, crawling, sending shivers down my neck and spine. I forced myself to focus on the emergency exit and pushed the handle. At first, it stuck, as always. The door seemed to resist movement, just as usual. I leaned slightly, took a deep breath, and pushed again. Still nothing. "No, not like this. Come on." I tried again, but failed. The voices outside grew louder, closer, as if the distance between the store and the storage room shrank on its own. The store lights visible through the door flickered wildly. I closed my eyes, gripping the door with both hands, and whispered, "Mark, help me." And as if responding to my plea, something warm touched the back of my hand. Softly, like someone giving a gentle, reassuring push. Then, click, the emergency door moved half an inch. I opened my eyes, stunned. You're helping me?" The air around me felt slightly warmer. Not normal warmth, but the comforting warmth of someone unseen. I pressed the handle once more, and this time the door opened wider, enough for me to step out. Outside, the security lights of the storage illuminated the narrow path to the back parking lot. The voices from inside the store grew quieter, though they still echoed my name. I stepped out quickly, but before the emergency door closed on its own, I saw something at the threshold. Mark's shadow standing just inside the storage room, watching me. I didn't see his face, just his shape. Transparent, soft, non-threatening, like someone finally ensuring I took the right path. "I don't know what happened to you," I said softly, "but thank you." The shadow didn't move. It simply faded slowly, like mist blown away by the wind. And the emergency door closed behind me. Outside, the night air felt far safer than I had imagined. The store lights in the distance flickered briefly, then stabilized, as if whatever had happened just now had subsided. I jogged toward the back parking area and called my manager on my phone, telling him there was an issue at the store and that I needed to leave early. My voice shook, but I was grateful he let me go without asking too many questions. As I walked home along the narrow street, lit by city lamps, I glanced back once more at Maple Ridge Mart. The store looked calm, silent, normal, as if nothing had ever happened. But I knew, that night, someone who should have already been gone had saved me from something far more dangerous than themselves. And by God, it felt like my whole body had lost all strength. Reflexively, I slammed the service room door shut, but the sounds outside, heavy noises I had initially thought were footsteps, were now clearer. There was a strange rhythm, not footsteps, but like something being dragged slowly across the cold floor. I held my breath. Then the lights in the service room flickered once, twice, before dimming completely. The light from my scanner screen became the only source of illumination left. In that dim glow, I saw something that made my neck stiffen. Through the slightly open door crack, there was a silhouette. Tall, thin, and leaning slightly to the side, like someone standing unsure of how to balance. I couldn't see its face, but I knew it was watching me. Not a feeling, but a certainty that pressed against my chest so heavily I could barely breathe. "Is there someone out there?" I whispered softly, not expecting an answer. And yet, a response came, in the form of a small knock on the right-hand wall. Quick, irregular, as if someone were hurriedly searching for a gap. I immediately abandoned any thought of opening the door. Whatever it was, I didn't want to confront it directly. I stepped back slowly, trying to find a place to steady myself. But every move I made was met with another sound outside. As if whatever it was tracking my movements with terrifying precision. Then I saw something. On the service desk, where I usually left work notes, was a photo I had never seen before. A Polaroid. Still warm, as if just printed. I picked it up with trembling hands. And the photo, it showed me. Right here, in the service room. From a dark corner of the room, with the tall, leaning shadow behind me. I jolted backward and collided with a chair. How could this photo exist if I was locked inside the room? Who took it? From where? These questions spun so fast my sense of space seemed to shrink. It felt as though the air itself was pressing in, closing off every safe corner left. When I looked back at the door, the crack was wider now, as if something was gently pushing it open. One thing was certain. Whatever happened next, I had to find a way out. I couldn't just hide anymore, and I had to act now, before whatever was outside entered fully. I swallowed hard, took a deep breath, and began to move. That's when something outside whispered, hoarse, faint, almost like someone trying to mimic a human voice. "Eli, open the door." And my breath caught instantly. "Eli, open the door." The voice was so close it felt like it was whispering directly into my ear. Yet I knew clearly it came from outside the service room door. The voice wasn't anyone I knew. Unfamiliar, unnatural, but strangely there was a soft pressure, like someone trying to imitate the human tone of speech. My body tensed automatically. I didn't answer. I couldn't. Instead, I stepped back a few paces, groping along the desk behind me, hoping to find anything to hold, nothing to fight with, just to make myself feel safer. My hand found the small flashlight I usually use to check stock on lower shelves. My hand shook as I switched it on. The small beam cut through the darkness, but instead of providing relief, It revealed something that made my heart race even faster. A shadow, a long, curved shadow, now stretched from beneath the door crack. The shadow moved, slowly, as if its owner was leaning something toward the floor. I held my breath so hard my chest ached. Another sound followed the shadow's movement, like something tapping lightly on the floor with an irregular rhythm. Talk, 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 talk. I knew I couldn't just stay put. I had to get out of this service room, now. Without taking my eyes off the door, I grabbed my phone from my pocket. Its screen was dark, completely dead, even though just a few minutes ago it had over half battery. Come on, I murmured in panic. No response. The phone remained dead, as if all its energy had vanished. Then, the voice outside called again, this time softer, dragging, almost pleading. Eli, open, I'm cold. Cold? Who would say that in a store that was actually too warm because of the heater? I lightly tapped my own cheek, forcing myself to focus. This isn't a person, not a customer, not anyone I know, I whispered to myself. I had to get out. I turned on the flashlight, scanning the room, and my gaze stopped at the vent high on the wall. It was the only alternative, narrow, high, but just large enough for me to crawl through. I took a deep breath, but as my foot landed on the chair to reach the vent, the service room door suddenly vibrated. A faint tremor, then growing stronger, as if something was trying to open it from outside without the handle, but by pushing its entire body. The chair I stood on shook. The flashlight in my hand trembled, and from behind the almost resisting door, the voice came again, this time clearer, closer, sounding as if someone stood right behind the thin wood separating us. Eli, don't go. I nearly lost my balance, but at that moment, in the middle of trembling, fear, and the creaking door noises, I realized something that made my hair stand on end. The voice didn't just know my name. It couldn't have known my name, unless it had been near me far longer than I had realized, or it had seen me from inside this store before. I swallowed hard, my legs shaking, and before I could take the next step, the service room door stopped vibrating entirely. Silent, quiet, as if whatever was outside was now waiting for me to make the next move. I didn't know which was scarier, when it made a sound, or when it stopped completely. I lifted the flashlight again, hands trembling, preparing for the hardest choice I would have to make. But just as I moved the chair to reach the vent, something knocked from inside the room, from the storage cabinet in the corner. Talk. Slowly, as if something else, another presence, had been inside with me all along.